Hi friends, Pastor Nathan Decker here, reading a book to the children, and today I wanted to read one of my very favorite stories again from Dr. Suess. This one's called The Big Brag. Now, there's nothing wrong in the world with having a self-confidence, feeling good about yourself. But kids, when we start saying things like, I'm better than you, and you can't play basketball as good as I can, or you can't sing as good as I can, well, that becomes a little bit more like bragging. And this is a story about some animals doing just that. This is the big brag. The rabbit felt mighty important that day. On top of the hill in the sun where he lay, he felt so important up there on that hill that he started bragging, as animals will. He boasted out loud, he threw out his chest. Of all the beasts in the world, I'm the best. On land and on sea, even up in the sky, no animal lives who's better than I. Wow, what a brag, right?
What's that?
Growled a voice that was terribly gruff.
Now, why do you say such ridiculous stuff?
The rabbit looked down and he saw a big bear.
I'm the best of the beasts,
said the bear.
So there.
You're not, snapped the rabbit. I'm better than you.
Pooh,
snorted the bear.
Again I say pooh. You talk mighty big, Mr. Rabbit, that's true. But how can you prove it? Just what can you do?
Thought the rabbit. Now what can I do? He thought and he thought and he finally said, Mr. Bear, do you see these two ears on my head? My ears are so keen and so sharp and so fine, no ears in the world can hear farther than mine. The bear grunted. He looked at each ear.
You say that they're good,
said the bear with a sneer.
But how do I know just how far they can hear?
I'll prove, said the rabbit. My ears are the best. You sit there and watch me, and I'll prove it by a test. So he stiffened his ears till they both stood up really high, and he pointed straight up at the blue of the sky. He stretched his ears open as wide as he could. Shh. I'm listening, he said as he stood. He listened so hard that he started to sweat. The fur on his ears and his forehead got wet. For 7 long minutes he stood. Then he stirred. He said to the bear, Do you know what I heard? Do you see that far mountain? It's 90 miles off. There's a fly on that mountain, and I just heard him cough. Now the cough of a fly, sir, is quite hard to hear when he's 90 miles off, but I hear it quite clear. So you see, bragged the rabbit, it's perfectly true that my ears are the best, so I'm better than you. Isn't that going to make the bear happy? The bear for a moment just sulked as he sat, for he knew that his ears couldn't hear things like that.
This rabbit,
he thought,
made a fool out of me. Now I've got to prove that I'm better than he.
So he said to the rabbit,
You hear pretty well. You can hear 90 miles, but how far can you smell? I'm the greatest of smellers, he bragged. See my nose? This nose on my face is the finest that grows. My nose can smell anything, both far and near. With my nose I can smell twice as far as you can hear.
You can't, snapped the rabbit.
I can,
growled the bear, and he stuck his big nose way up in the air. He wiggled that nose and he sniffed and he snuffed. He waggled that nose and he whiffed and he wuffed. For more than 10 minutes he snapped and he snuffed. And then he said to the rabbit,
I've smelled far enough.
All right, said the rabbit. Come on now and tell exactly how far is the smell that you smell.
Oh, I'm smelling a very far smell, said the bear. Away past that fly on that mountain out there. I'm smelling past many great mountains beyond, 600 miles more, to the edge of a pond. And way, way out there on the pond you can't see is a very small farm, and on the farm is a tree. And on the tree is a branch, and on the branch is a nest, and a very small nest where just 2 tiny eggs rest. 2 hummingbird eggs, only half an inch long, But my nose, said the bear, is so wonderfully strong. My nose is so good that I smelled without fail. The egg on the left is a little bit stale. And that is a thing no rabbit can do. So you see, the bear boasted, I'm better than you. My smeller is so keen that it just can't be beat.
I'm not so sure he could really smell a rotten egg that far. I don't know. What's that? Called a voice from way down at their feet. The bear and the rabbit looked down to the sound, and they saw an old worm crawling out of the ground. Now, boys, said the worm, you've been bragging a lot. You both think that you're great, but I think that you're not. You're not half as good a fellow like me. You hear and you smell, but how far can you see? Now I'm here to prove to you big boasting guys that your nose and your ears aren't as good as my eyes. And the little old worm cocked his head to one side, and he opened his eyes, and he opened them wide, and he looked far away with a strange sort of stare, as if they were burning 2 holes in the air. The eyes of the worm almost popped out of his head. He stared for half an hour, and his eyelids got all red.
That's enough, growled the bear. Tell Rabbit and me, how far did you look? Just what did you see?
Well, boys, the worm answered, that look that I took was a look that looked farther than you'll ever look. I looked across the ocean way out to Japan, as far as anyone can see, as far as anyone can, and there's nowhere on earth that's got eyesight that's finer. I looked past Japan and all across China. I looked across Egypt and I took a quick glance, and I looked across the 2 countries of Holland and France. And then I looked across England and also Brazil, but I didn't stop there. No, I looked farther still, looking around and around and around. Oh. And I kept on looking until I looked around right back to this hill. And I saw on this hill with my eyesight so keen the 2 biggest fools who have ever been seen. And the fools that I saw were none other than you, who seem to have nothing else better to do than to sit here and argue who's better than who. And with that, the little old worm gave his head a small jerk, and he dived into his hole, and he went back to work. Friends, remember, bragging is not healthy. It's not healthy, it's not helpful. Instead of bragging, let's all do our part. Instead of bragging, let's all chip in and get back to work and make sure that we share God's love with one another in our play, in our language, in all the ways that we are. Let's make sure we love one another as all animals should. Thanks.